Hey guys, there we go. And we've come to the end, but not before one final presentation. This one's a pretty special one to the World VR Forum, myself, and my good buddy Bruno. So I've been working on a virtual reality series called Defrost for about 1.5 years now. And this is a pretty cool little series, 12-part series totaling 60 minutes of content, where you actually become the main character of the story, see the world through her eyes, and you're a paralyzed woman who's been cryogenically frozen, reanimated in the year 2045. And my interest with this project was always around one particular thing, and that was perspective and embodiment. And last year, at the World VR Forum, I kind of got connected to Bruno, who I'm going to invite up right now. And you all know Bruno. He's been up here many times today. And we kind of hit it off and connected, both with this deep kind of understanding and desire to learn a bit more about embodiment in VR, especially with live action. And I'll let Bruno talk a little bit more about after the movie that we're going to run right now. In case you didn't know, Defrost is showing episodes 1 through 4 right now. We had episodes 1 through 2 here last year, and it has taken a while to complete this project for multiple reasons that I won't bore you with now, but it's a very, very cool little project. And
about the experiment. So while it's setting up, so if you have seen this morning panel, we try to do neuroscience and of virtual reality, or virtual reality with neuroscience, both ways. And when meeting with Mario and the team of Defrost, I was very impressed by their intuition of how to conduct and create a great immersive narrative. They used intuitively all the tricks, not all maybe, but many of the guidelines that VR scientists, neuroscientists would say. And therefore I said, well, but how can you be sure that it's the best solution? And they were like, well, because we know it's the best. Yeah, but it's not very scientific, you know? So we should do a test about that. How do you test if it's best to be embodied or not embodied? Well, you try both conditions. How do you test if it's better to be immersed in 360 than watching a cinema movie? Well, you test both conditions. And you end up with a 2x2 factorial design in which you mixed and randomized your subjects. And well, here we go, we start to do a bit of science. Based on that, they were kind enough and interested enough to reshoot the entire scene. So it was complicated. Mario will tell you the whole story. It will take time. Basically, they were able to reshoot from the third-person perspective the scene which has originally been shot as I am the woman in the wheelchair, and now I would be seeing the woman in the wheelchair. And what we invite you to do in the -1 is to test to become guinea pig of our experiment, where you can try the 4 conditions where you are immersed in different conditions of embodiment, disembodiment, immersion, not immersion. And then you will answer a few questions. And out of this, we hope to get sufficient answers to make some statistics and eventually a publication out of it. So thank you for your participation in advance. And I think we have a word of in the video of the team of the movie.
Yeah, so the funny story was Carl Weathers is involved in our project. Remember him from Rocky, he played Apollo Creed. And so we know that we needed to get him back to reshoot the part of the scene. He's been in Chicago for quite some time shooting a series there, and he never knows his schedule, so we were waiting months and months for him to come back. And I will tell you the rest of this story right after this video now. Okay, now. So finally, I get an email from Carl saying that he's finally coming back to LA, and he'll be here next week. That gave me 6 days to completely recreate the entire production. The same location, same wardrobe, same actors, and it was a very intense week for myself, but we managed to get everything exactly the same and reshoot the entire latter half of the first episode from a different point of view. And now we can see the video.
In 2016, we were showing our VR 360 project, Defrost, at the World VR Forum in Switzerland. And I ran into a neuroscientist named Bruno Herbelin from the Polytechnique school there in Lausanne. He and I were talking about how the brain might be affected by VR, and he wanted to do some experiments.
The Defrost neuroscience experiment is going to be testing the differences between first-person point of view and third-person point of view in a virtual reality space. What was interesting about Defrost is that it was written to really try and create presence with the viewer, where you really do become this character, where you actually can hear your heartbeat and you can hear breathing. All of this is incorporated into the project to try and create this incredible phenomenon of embodiment. We wanted to see just how effective this really was. So we decided to reshoot Defrost from a third-person POV, put Kelly back into the wheelchair, and we reshot the end of the pilot.
What we always try to do as filmmakers is to somehow give you an experience, something that will actually connect with your experience in life, or maybe give you a broader view of what there is going on in life.
Joan has been a challenge as an actress because it's the first time I've played a role where I'm, in essence, paralyzed. So I'm expressing her story through eyes, through contact, through inner life. It's all in the eyes.
You're playing with the audience. It's like you're breaking the fourth wall because you're playing to this camera and as if it were a character and make sure it feels emotions.
We're going to try to understand just how impactful this is and how much the brain does connect to this main character. And the theory is that the brain really is responding differently when it is in a first-person POV. And it's going to be interesting to see if the emotions and the feelings that come about from Defrost when you're sitting in this chair as this main character, if that is approaching the similar effect of real life.
We hope to continue our association with the Polytechnique Institute and Bruno and his team, and continue to try to learn more about how virtual reality affects the brain.
And we can talk a little bit more about our experience with Defrost, but downstairs, right below us, we'll be running this experiment. So if you have any interest in participating, doesn't take too long, and you'll be a part of something truly unique. Both Bruno and I believe that this is the first ever experiment like this with real actors. They've been doing stuff like this with CG for quite some time now, but the technology just wasn't there to do something like this with actual human beings. And so to get connected like this, to make eye contact with somebody else in virtual reality is quite different than making eye contact or seeing something that your brain views as animation. So this is just the beginning of what we hope are many experiments that slowly prove that the brain can connect to another person, another character, and ultimately just another entity in virtual reality. And with that, that will wrap up day one of the conferences. And I would like to thank you all for sticking through it. We have a cocktail hour in the cafeteria that will turn into a bar in about 30 minutes at around, 15 minutes now, it's 6:30. And then at 8 o'clock outside in the Red Bull tent, we're gonna have another party. And I was told if you don't have dancing shoes, don't bother showing up. So bring your dancing shoes. And with that, I say goodbye. Thank you.